Yes. So let's have a small recap of yesterday's class. So what did we discuss yesterday? And?
Definition, significance, development of anthropology, development, school.
What is the definition of anthropology? Holistic? Time and space. Right. Why anthropology is dear to anthropologists? Because of its unique features. What are those features? What is emic? Ethic? And any other features? Synchronic studies, diachronic studies. Diachronic studies means? Yes. What is the significance of anthropology? Don't look at your notes. Try to. What is the significance of anthropology? Okay, you can solve tribal issues. And? Understand? Yes. And? Myths. Yes. What is the scope of anthropology? Scope of anthropology. Right. Yes. So I think we have done with 1.2 about social sciences, right? So tell me, compare with sociology and compare anthropology with sociology. Compare anthropology with sociology. You're not studying, no? Tell me, what sociology studies and what anthropology studies? See, I told you, there are two major things that differentiate these disciplines. One is data collection techniques and subject matter. Which societies they study? Either what sociology studies, which societies do they study? Modern societies. What are modern societies? Rural and urban societies. So anthropology? Tribal societies. Only these two, in these two, these are the major differences between any other discipline. Anthropology is a holistic science. The other discipline is a part science. Right? So now you tell me the difference between anthropology and political science. What political science studies? What do you study in polity? Constitution. Modern political institutions. Right? Democratic institutions or communistic institutions. What anthropology studies? I told you, remember two things, the type of society and data collection. What societies anthropology studies? Tribal societies, political organizations in tribal societies. There are certain tribal societies where there are no political organizations at all. How political organizations evolved, evolution, and why there are variations across different societies. Right? Now tell me the difference between anthropology and economics. What economics study? Yes? Principles, modern principles like demand and supply, profit maximization, principle of rationality, profit loss, right? So what political anthropology studies are the economic systems of primitive societies. These economic systems does not follow modern economic principles. Their economic systems are embedded in the social customs. See, for example, if we earn money for ourselves, for our family. But in primitive societies, what they do, when they bring some big hunting, they bring the big animal, no? They'll share among their kin members. They don't think about these profit, maximization, I should get more share, nothing like that. For them, relationships and kinships matters most. For us? Next, now tell me the difference between medical science and anthropology. What medical science studies? Yes, origin, like how diseases spread, what causes that disease, how to treat that disease, right? What anthropology studies?
Effect on health.
Yes, different factors, including cultural factors, how cultural factors are contributing for the origin, spread of a disease, and how these primitive societies use treatment mechanisms, like I told you, local plants, herbs, local medicine man, they rely on local medicine man. Sometimes they even feel that ill person is possessed by the evil. Have you ever heard? ఎవరికైనా ఏదైనా డిసీజ్ వస్తే ఫస్ట్ మంత్రం వేస్తామని వింటాం కదా, మంత్రం వేస్తే పోతుంది. So that is just a belief system. So anthropology studies that. Now tell me difference between life science and anthropology. Life science ante which studies life forms like botany, zoology. What is the difference? Life sciences. In zoology we study animals and we are evolved from animals, right? So what are the different kinds of differences? Comparative anatomy we study, evolutionary phylogenetic status we study, where we stand in the kingdom of Animalia. We cover this in 1.4, 1.5, 1.6, okay? Next, now tell me the difference between psychology and anthropology. What psychology studies? Individual behavior. And anthropology? Group behavior. Good. Now geography and anthropology.
Geography is entered from territorial extents.
Some
Territorial extents.
territorial extents. Okay, bit clear?
Anthropology.
Okay, how geography helps us? Do we use any geographical concepts in anthropology? Which one? Climate?
Tribes. Which have
Okay, so we try to understand the climate of the primitive cultures based on the archaeological remains, right? Next, anything else? Stratigraphy. When we start excavating things, we know that upper layer, lower layer, middle layer, right? So based on that information, we try to figure it out which period that artifact belongs to. We study about rocks, petrology, sedimentary rocks, because we find fossils only in sedimentary rocks. So we need to know those techniques, dating techniques, relative dating, chronometric dating techniques and all, right? So please take down the notes and we'll complete 1.2. Then we'll start 2.1, culture. Have we completed history? Comparison with history? Sociology and history done, right. So political science. Political science. It has more similarities with It has more similarities with political anthropology which is a specialized branch of socio-cultural anthropology. Which is a specialized branch of socio-cultural anthropology. Political anthropology studies stateless societies while political science is limited to the study of stateless societies, while political science is limited to the study of state societies. State societies. Next, economics. Economics studies the modern economies. Economics studies the modern economies. Modern economies in their present form. Modern economies in their present form. It studies principles of demand and supply, profit and loss. Economic anthropology is a specialized branch of socio-cultural anthropology. Economic anthropology is a specialized branch of socio-cultural anthropology which studies simple societies and their underlying economic principles embedded in social matrix. Underlying economic principles embedded in social matrix. It studies economy through the principles of kinship, reciprocity and social interactions. Kinship, reciprocity and social interactions. Next, comparison with behavioral science. Psychology and other behavioral sciences study the individual psyche. PSYCHE. While anthropology studies the culture, which is a collective psyche. American cultural anthropologist led by Franz Boas developed culture personality school of thought. culture personality school of thought which has culture personality school of thought which has close relationship with psychology. Close relationship with psychology. They used
Personality school of
thought which has close relationship with psychology. They used anthropopsychological approach. They used anthropopsychological approach and other behavioral techniques. Anthropopsychological approach and other behavioral techniques of psychology. Comparison with life sciences. Comparison with life sciences. Life sciences studies life forms. Life sciences studies life forms. Biological anthropology is closely related to life sciences. Biological anthropology is closely related to life sciences, primarily biology, zoology, primarily biology, zoology, anatomy, and physiology. Biology, zoology, anatomy, and physiology. Anthropologists use general principles of biology to understand. Anthropologists use general principles of biology to understand primate evolution, human genetics, primate evolution, human genetics, and paleontology. Paleontology. Physical anthropology was mainly concerned with the study of race, fossils, etc. Anthropology studies human and their ancestors. Anthropology studies human and their ancestors, while life sciences like zoology and botany deal extensively with different life forms. Like life forms like bacteria, plants, and animals. Life sciences deal with contemporary humans. Life sciences deal with contemporary humans, while anthropology is a comparative study of humans. While anthropology is the comparative study of humans across space and time. Across time and space. Next, comparison with medical science. Comparison with medical science. Medical science deal with prevention, diagnosis and treatment. Prevention, diagnosis and treatment of a disease as human health is determined by both biological and cultural factors. As human health is determined by both biological and cultural factors, it has a close link with anthropology. Close link with anthropology. Similarities. Both study medical systems of human population. Both study, next point, both study blood group systems and genetics. Both borrow significant elements from molecular biology and biochemistry. Differences. Both borrow significant elements from molecular biology and biochemistry. Next, differences. Anthropology focus on influence of cultural aspects. Anthropology focus on influence of cultural aspects like religion, magic on human health. Religion and magic on human health, which is neglected by medical science. Next point, anthropology lays emphasis on local practitioners like shaman, priest and medicine man. They lay emphasis on local practitioners like shaman, priest, and medicine man. We'll study this in chapter 5, religion, in detail. Comparison with earth science. Earth science. Comparison with earth science. Earth science. Earth science include the disciplines of geography, and geology, They are related to subfields of anthropology. Like archaeological anthropology, socio-cultural anthropology, and biological anthropology. They are related to the subfields of anthropology like archaeological anthropology, socio-cultural anthropology, and biological anthropology. Archaeologists use geological techniques like stratigraphy, pedology, petrology, to excavate archaeological sites and establish their chronologies.
Excavate the archaeological
Sites and establish their chronologies. Archaeologist, next point. Archaeologists take the help of geography. To understand the climate of the past. And human settlement patterns. To understand the climate of the past and human settlement patterns. Geography helps anthropologists to understand the cultural adaptation to diverse environmental conditions. Diverse environmental conditions. The knowledge of sedimentary rocks helps biological anthropologists to discover and analyze the fossils. So that's the end of chapter 1.2. Now we'll start with 2.1, nature of culture. Leave a blank page and start the other chapter. What do we study here? We study the concept of culture, what are its characteristics, we study civilization, how civilization and culture differs, we study ethnocentrism, vis-a-vis cultural relativism. So these are the topics we'll study in 2.1. Let's start with concept of culture. Define culture in your own words. What is culture? What do you understand by the term culture? Festivals, customs. What is a way of life? What does that mean? Okay, traditions, beliefs, customs, food habits. Yes. Okay, food habits. Yes. Boys, anything to add? What is culture? We adopted from. That means tradition only, no? Traditions, customs, beliefs. So now let's see what thinkers, different anthropological thinkers defined culture. So E.B. Taylor, see this definition is standard. Whenever you come across culture in your question paper, first you have to define culture. And the standard definition was given by E.B. Taylor. Have you heard this name? When? E.B. Taylor. In which concept we heard this name? E.B. Taylor, L.H. Morgan. So, what?
Cultural evolution. Biological culture.
I told you to get handy with these names, right? Throughout anthropology, you will be hearing the same names again and again in different chapters, right? So they are the classical evolutionists, which we study in chapter 6. So this guy gave the definition of culture in his work, Primitive Culture, in his book actually. He defined culture as a complex whole. Keywords, remember the keywords. As a complex whole which contain knowledge, beliefs, customs, traditions, art, architecture, whatever that man acquires being a member of that culture, being a part of that culture, this man acquires this complex whole. These are the keywords. This is a standard definition you have to remember. When when anthropology was asked, definition was asked, which one will you write? Which definition will you write? Because I gave you many definitions. You cannot choose randomly any one definition. You have to write a standard definition, right? So which one will you write? If you have to define anthropology, how will you define anthropology? Whose? Clyde Cluckhorn. Totality of man. Right? It's a holistic study. It's a Clyde Cluckhorn. You have to mention the thinker and you have to mention the keywords in the definition. right? We also have the other thinker who defined culture, Malinowski. Have you heard this name? What did he teach, or what are the concepts he gave? Participant observation, yes. And he's a father of economic anthropology as well. Which society he studied? Fieldwork. He conducted fieldwork in which society? No. Try to remember, don't look into your notes. That will not help you. Malinowski. Which society he studied? Tribe of Andaman Nicobar was studied by Ratcliffe Brown. Onge tribe. Malinowski, he's a father of economic anthropology. You should not forget his study. Trobriand Islanders. And what is the concept he gave? Participant observation. Right. And he's a father of economic anthropology. So this Malinowski, he belongs to functional school. So he says, culture is defined as an instrument to satisfy human need. Agree or not? Is culture an instrument to satisfy human need? Yes or no? How? How is culture satisfying your need? Which need it is satisfying, and what is that culture? Tell me. What is that cultural trait? Food? Food. Hunger is a need. You can eat any food. You can eat even grass to satisfy your hunger. Tell me one cultural aspect and what need it is satisfying. Simple. Think. What is that cultural aspect that is satisfying your need? What are your basic needs? Primary needs, biological needs. For example, marriage. It is satisfying many needs. Yes or no? Economic needs, sexual needs, reproduction needs, cohabitation needs, emotional support needs, cohabitation. Yes? So according to Malinowski, his definition is this. Culture is an instrument to satisfy man's need. Now we'll see Radcliffe Brown. Who is Radcliffe Brown? Did we discuss who? He studied a society. You should not forget that society because it is an Indian society. Which one? Onge tribe of Andaman Islands. Okay. He is also a functionalist. But he says that according to him, culture is an instrument to ensure perpetuation of society. Society survive avvali ante culture kavali antaru. Yes or no? Example? Okay. How society is perpetuating with this? Okay. Let me tell you how. When you go with, you will marry a person from other family, right? Generally, what happens? Alliance form avutundi. So you will have a very good relationship with that two families. So despite they doesn't belong to your blood or to your descent, but still you are maintaining good relation with other members, right? Marriage, religion, where you all collectively worship one God, you will have a sense of solidarity. So culture is important for survival of society. Who said this? Brown. Radcliffe Brown. Next. The other person, Leslie White. He says, culture is symbolic. Culture is nothing but a group of symbols. Yes or no? Substantiate your answer. If yes, what are the symbols you see in a culture? Regular symbols you see in a culture. What are the cultural symbols that are visible to you? Like? Okay. It has a meaning. What is a meaning? Maybe I think religious meaning. And in your day-to-day life, what is that cultural symbol you see? Tying Rakhi. Is Rakhi not a symbol? What does that indicate? Why do you tie Rakhi only on that day? Not every day. It has a meaning to it. That, yes, brother has to protect his sister. So culture is nothing but symbols and their meanings. That's it. So everyone are telling their own perspective what is culture. Every perspective is right, but not every perspective is not holistic, right? Everyone have their point. Yes or no? So we also have Herskovits. Did we study about him? Herskovits? Herskovits says, culture is a man-made part of environment. It is man-made thing. It's a response to environmental adaptations. Yes or no? Yes or no? Is it a response to environmental adaptation? Is it an adaptational mechanism? అంటే ఏంటి అర్థమైందా నేను చెప్పింది? యూ వాంట్ టు ఒక హార్ష్ ఎన్వైరన్మెంట్ ఉంది, దాన్ని కోపప్ చేయడానికి యు ఆర్ కమింగ్ అప్ విత్ కల్చర్ సో దట్ యూ కెన్ లీవ్ అ పీస్ఫుల్ లైఫ్. ఎస్ ఆర్ నో? సబ్స్టాన్షియేట్. టేక్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్స్ ఫ్రమ్ యువర్ రియల్ లైఫ్. హౌ? విచ్ కల్చర్, లైక్ ఏ పార్ట్ ఆఫ్ ద కల్చర్ అలా ఉంది? Yes, because they live in desert areas. They try to cover their entire body, especially Islam born from that Middle East. So it was a desert area. So they completely cover their whole body, right? And there are also some tribes who continuously chew some kind of herbal leaves just to ensure that their body heat is balanced. In colder areas, you need to maintain certain body temperatures. You have to conserve your heat. For that, what they do, they chew some leaves, herbal leaves, that produces glucose instantly. So is it not adaptation for the environment, harsh environment? So these are the definitions of culture. So finally, there is no single definition that entirely encapsulates every aspect of the culture. But E.B. Tyler's definition is a standard definition and you have to write that definition as and when you are required to write. Done? Any questions? Chalo. Take your notes. Functionalist school of thought. It's a school of thought. Generally, we have different schools of thought in chapter 6, right? Evolutionist school of thought, they study that how culture originated and developed. In functionalist school of thought, they analyze culture from its function. What is a function of culture? This is what they analyze, this perspective. So in this school of thought, we have two different schools. One is biocultural functionalism, other is structural functionalism. Biocultural functionalism school was spearheaded by Malinowski and structural functionalist school was spearheaded by Radcliffe Brown. We'll discuss this in detail in chapter 6, Anthropological Theories. So keep the heading, Nature of Culture. Now definition of culture. Is it boring? Definition of culture. E.B. Tyler in his book Primitive Culture, please remember the thinkers, their field work, in which society they studied, and their work, books published, right? This fetches you extra marks. You can score 300 plus marks in anthropology. E.B. Tyler in his book Primitive Culture defined culture as that complex whole as that complex whole which includes knowledge, beliefs, customs, art, and any other capabilities acquired by man as a member of society. Next, Malinowski definition. Malinowski defined culture as an instrument for the satisfaction of human need. Next, Radcliffe Brown definition. Brown defined culture as a social heritage that perpetuates social life. Next, Herskovits defines culture as a man-made part of the environment, that contain both material and non-material aspects. Leslie White defined culture as organization of behavioral patterns, tools, ideas that are dependent upon the use of symbols. Define culture as organization of behavioral patterns, tools, and ideas that are dependent upon the use of symbols. Therefore, there is no universal definition of culture. So, Beals and Heuser. In their work, So Beals and Heuser, in their work An Introduction to Anthropology, suggested that So Beals and Heuser, in their work An Introduction to Anthropology, suggested that culture may refer to the way of life. Culture may refer to the way of life. Culture may refer to the way of life of people at a particular time. The way of life of people at a particular time. What are the components of culture? What are the components of culture? Ruth Benedict. Have you listened to this thinker? Ruth Benedict. She gave the components of culture. Culture consists of culture trait, culture complex, and culture pattern. If you think this is a culture complex, this is the smallest unit of the cultural element. It is an indivisible unit. This is called trait. There are so many traits in a complex, and the configuration of so many complexes, the relationship between them forms a culture pattern. Can anyone define this with an example? Explain this with an example. A culture complex will have number of culture traits, and the interrelationship between culture complexes form a culture pattern. Give an example for this. Did you understand what is a trait? Culture trait. What is a culture trait? I'll give one example, you give the other example. Okay, let's take trait. తాళి టైయింగ్ సెరమోనీ, తాళి కడతారు కదా, అది ట్రైట్ అనుకుందాం. వాట్ ఈస్ కాంప్లెక్స్? చాలా ట్రైట్స్ ఉంటాయి. కాంప్లెక్స్ ఈజ్ అ మ్యారేజ్. దెర్ ఆర్ డిఫరెంట్ ట్రైట్స్ ఇన్ దిస్. అవునా? అదొక్కటే కాదు కదా, చాలా రిచువల్స్ ఉంటాయి. లైక్ కన్యాదానం, కాళ్ళు కడగడం, తలంబ్రాలు. సో ఇవన్నీ ట్రైట్స్ అయితే, ఇవన్నీ ఉన్నది గ్రూప్ ఆఫ్ ట్రైట్స్ ఉన్నది మ్యారేజ్ అనే ఇన్స్టిట్యూషన్. సో దిస్ ఈజ్ అ కాంప్లెక్స్. సో ఇలా మ్యారేజ్ అనే కాంప్లెక్స్, కాస్ట్ అనే కాంప్లెక్స్ రిలేట్ అయ్యాయా లేదా? ఆర్ దే రిలేటెడ్? మ్యారేజ్ అండ్ కాస్ట్, హౌ ఆర్ దే రిలేటెడ్? ఎస్, యూ హ్యావ్ టు మ్యారీ ఎ పర్సన్ ఫ్రమ్ ద సేమ్ కాస్ట్. సో దీస్ మ్యారేజ్ రూల్స్ అండ్ కాస్ట్ రూల్స్కి లింక్ ఉంది. సో నవ్ యూ అండర్స్టూడ్ వాట్ ఈస్ అ ట్రైట్, అ కాంప్లెక్స్ అండ్ అ ప్యాటర్న్. గివ్ మీ యువర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్. ట్రేట్ అంటే సింప్లెస్ట్ ఫామ్ ఆఫ్ కల్చరల్ ఎలిమెంట్. ఇప్పుడు మ్యారేజ్ అంటే ఎన్ని రిచువల్స్ ఉంటాయి? మల్టిపుల్ రిచువల్స్ ఉంటాయి. ఆ ఒక్కొక్క రిచువల్ని ట్రేట్ అంటాం. ఇంకా అంతకన్నా యూ కాంట్ డీకోడ్ ఇట్, డివైడ్ చేయలేము. అది ఇండివిజిబుల్ కల్చరల్ ఎలిమెంట్ ఈజ్ అ ట్రేట్. ఎస్, ఓకే. రిలీజియన్తో చెప్పండి. ఓకే, ఫెస్టివల్ చాలా ఉంటాయి కదా. గివ్ అన్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్. కొబ్బరికాయ కొట్టడం అనేది ఒక ట్రేట్ ఆఫ్ ఫెస్టివల్ ఆల్సో ఈజ్ అ పార్ట్ ఆఫ్ ట్రేట్. సో ఇట్స్ అ కాంప్లెక్స్ ఆఫ్ ఏ కాంప్లెక్స్ ఫామ్ అవుతుంది? రిలీజియన్ కాంప్లెక్స్. హౌ ఇట్ ఈస్ రిలేటెడ్ టు అదర్ కాంప్లెక్సెస్? ఈజ్ ఇట్ రిలేటెడ్ టు మ్యారేజ్? హౌ? ఉంటాయి కదా ఫెస్టివల్, పూజలు చేస్తాం కదా మ్యారేజ్ అప్పుడు కూడా. ఎస్, ఇట్ ఈస్ రిలేటెడ్ టు ఎనీ అదర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ బాయ్స్? అన్ని ఇన్స్టిట్యూషన్స్కి వీ హ్యావ్ లింక్. ఇట్స్ నాట్ రైట్. అందుకే చెప్పాను దెర్ ఈజ్ అ ప్యాటర్న్ ఆఫ్ దీస్ కాంప్లెక్సెస్. డిడ్ యూ అండర్స్టాండ్ ద కాన్సెప్ట్? డిడ్ యూ అండర్స్టాండ్ వాట్ ఇట్ ఈస్ ట్రైట్? So this is given by, this concept was given by Ruth Benedict. We study this again in chapter 6. Any doubts?
Combination of traits forms a
Complex. Interrelationship between different complexes form pattern, culture pattern. You understood, right? Right. Please take your notes. Components of culture. Ruth Benedict in her work Patterns of Culture, Ruth Benedict in her work Patterns of Culture gave the concepts of culture trait, culture complex, culture pattern. Culture trait. Hebel defines culture trait. Hebel defines culture trait as the smallest and indivisible unit of culture. As the smallest and indivisible unit of culture. As the smallest and indivisible unit of culture. Draw this diagram. Culture complex. Add culture here. Culture complex. Culture complex. Culture complex. It is the organization of different cultural traits. Example. Traits. Example, religion is a culture complex. Marriage is a culture complex. Culture pattern. It is the organization of multiple cultural complexes. It is the organization of multiple cultural complexes. It is the organization of multiple cultural complexes. Example: Indian cultural pattern. Indian cultural pattern organized around family, marriage, religion, complexes. Now we'll study the concept of ideal culture, real culture, and culture construct. What do you understand by these terms? Anyone? What is ideal culture? What is real culture? What is culture construct? What is ideal culture? Ideal. What is ideal culture?
Marriage is ideal. Different types of marriage in India.
Marriage is a culture. What is ideal culture? Ideal conditions ante ప్రిస్క్రిప్టివ్ ఇలా ఉండాలి. యూ సపోజ్ కాస్ట్ సిస్టమ్ ఉంది, కాస్ట్ ఓన్లీ విత్ ఇన్ ద కాస్ట్ ఎండోగమీ మాత్రమే ఉండాలి అనేది ఐడియల్ కల్చర్ అనుకుందాం. సపోజ్ ఇది యాక్చువల్లీ వాట్ అవర్ కల్చర్ సేస్. వాట్ ఈజ్ రియల్ కల్చర్? వాట్ వీ ఆర్ యాక్చువల్లీ ఫాలోయింగ్. ఆర్ వీ ఫాలోయింగ్ ఎండోగమీ? నాట్ స్ట్రిక్ట్లీ. లవ్ మ్యారేజెస్, interfaith marriages, intercaste marriages, we are not following them. That is real culture. What is culture construct? Who will construct that culture? Think. No. Who will study cultures? Be more specific. Animals won't study, no? Who will study cultures? Who will study cultures? Think. You and me will not go and study cultures. Who will study cultures? Anthropologists. Right? So, they will present their own perspective. What they present is culture construct. What culture says, actual culture says is ideal culture. What people follow is real culture. What observer present to us is the culture construct. So this happened. We know Malinowski. He went to Trobriand Islands. I told you he started that method of participant observation. So he built some good rapport with the youngsters there. So once he went to the elders and you know incest taboo? Do you know that concept of incest taboo? Incest taboo is you cannot have a sexual relationship with your father or mother, daughter or son. There is with the closest among the nuclear family, you cannot have a sexual relationship. That is called incest. That incest is taboo. You cannot marry your own brother. You cannot marry your father. You cannot marry your sister. This is incest taboo. So he went to the elders and he asked them about incest taboo. So elders are like, no, incest is a taboo here. People should not follow that. If people follow, there are strict punishments and bahishkaris chesam ఆ ప్లేస్ నుంచి అని చెప్తారు. సో దిస్ గై హీ హ్యాడ్ సమ్ ఇన్ఫార్మల్ ర్యాపో విత్ దట్ యంగ్స్టర్స్, అక్కడున్న యంగ్స్టర్స్తో. సో కొంచెం బాతాకాని స్టార్ట్ చేసి హీ ఆస్క్డ్ దెమ్. సో వాట్ పీపుల్ సెడ్, యా వీ విల్ ఫాలో ఇన్సెస్ట్ ఇన్ సీక్రెట్ మేనర్. వీ డోంట్ లెట్ అదర్ పీపుల్ నో. వై? బికాస్ ఇట్స్ అ థ్రిల్ ఫర్ దెమ్. So what culture is saying, what people are doing. So what that fellow, he mixed both the views and he presented his own view, Malinowski, in his study. So now you understood what is ideal culture, what is real culture and culture construct. And these concepts were given by Ralph Linton. Again you study him in chapter 6, Culture Personality School. Right? Take your notes. Ideal culture. Ideal culture given by Ralph Linton of Culture Personality School. Given by Ralph Linton of Culture Personality School. It reflects the philosophical traditions of the society, embedded in its ethics. Real culture. Given by Ralph Linton of Culture Personality School. Real culture refers to cultural processes that the society actually follows in reality. Culture construct.
Real culture given by real culture given by
Same, given by Ralph Linton of CPS, Culture Personality School. It refers to the idea of culture of any society, as presented by a scholar. It is usually extracted from both ideal and real culture. Write a case study. Malinowski while studying Trobriand Islanders asked elders about incest taboo. They gave the ideal definition. When he asked few youngsters, when he asked few youngsters, when he asked few youngsters after getting informal with them, after getting informal with them, after getting informal with them, they admitted to have indulged in it, to have indulged in it, to have indulged, to have indulged in it, barring sanctions, barring sanctions. This is the real culture. The elders' definition is the ideal culture. This is the real culture. The elders' definition is the ideal culture. Malinowski's presentation in his book Argonauts of Western Pacific, in his book Argonauts of Western Pacific, Argonauts of Western Pacific is the culture construct. Is the culture construct. Now tell me the characteristics of culture. What are the characteristics of culture? Summarize what you studied so far. What are the characteristics of culture? Culture? No. What are the characteristics? Significant features of culture. Is culture a system? System? What do you mean by system?
We are following the traditions.
It's a group of, we said it's a complex whole of knowledge, belief systems, traditions, art, technology. So it is a system of different elements. Yes? Next. Is culture biologically inherited? Biologically inherited? We get in our genes. We know that it is transmitted from our parents to our generation. Is it genetic? Just we are born with a culture? Kallu teravadamtoni amma ani cheppesama? Then what is it? If it is not culturally, biologically inherited, then it is a learnt behavior. It is socially transmitted. Parents, teachers, society teachers, yes, peers teachers, right? And is culture unique to humans, or do animals also have culture? No. It's only limited to humans. Only limited to humans, right? So chimpanzees, monkeys don't communicate. చాలాసార్లు చూసాం కదా, పేలు చూసుకుంటూ ఉంటాయి మంకీస్. అది కల్చర్ కాదా? గుడ్ ర్యాపో కదా ఆ టూ మంకీస్ మధ్యలో? కల్చర్ లేదా వాటికి? కల్చర్ ఉందా? సో మమ్మీ మంకీ బేబీ మంకీకి నేర్పిస్తుందా ఇలా చేయాలి అని? అవునా? ఐ షూర్?
చూస్తే ఆటోమేటిక్గా చేస్తుంది.
సో చూసి నేర్చుకునేది కల్చరా? సో యూ సే ఇట్ ఇస్ అ కల్చర్. ఓకే. సో నేర్పిస్తాయి మంకీ పేరెంట్స్ మంకీ కిడ్స్కి. చలో, విల్ డిస్కస్ దిస్ బికాస్ దిస్ వాజ్ అ క్వశ్చన్ ఆస్క్డ్ ప్రీవియస్లీ. ఈజ్ కల్చర్ యూనిక్ టు హ్యూమన్స్? ఓకే, విల్ డిస్కస్. And next, is culture adaptive? కల్చర్ అలా ఉందా, చేంజ్ అవుతూ ఉంటుందా? అవుతుంది కదా. దెర్ ఆర్ మెనీ రీజన్స్. అది ఒకటి ఎన్వైరన్మెంట్ అవ్వచ్చు, లా అవ్వచ్చు, వాట్ ఎవర్. సో కల్చర్ ఈజ్ అడాప్టివ్. అండ్ కల్చర్ ఈజ్ గ్రాటిఫైయింగ్. ఇట్ సాటిస్ఫైస్ అవర్ హ్యూమన్ నీడ్స్. గ్రాటిఫై అంటే అదే సాటిస్ఫాక్షన్ ఆఫ్ నీడ్స్, need satisfaction. That is a characteristic of a culture. Culture is ideational. What do you mean? Culture is ideational. It consists of ideas, ideologies. Is culture visible? No, it's not visible. రాఖీ కడుతున్నాం కదా, రాఖీ కల్చరే కదా, రాఖీ కనిపిస్తుంది కదా. Then is all the aspects of culture visible? Yes or no? Yes, sir. Substantiate your answers when you say yes or no. Take real life examples. Yes? So, but few elements are visible. We have both material and non-material aspects. What are material aspects of culture? Okay. What do you see in marriage? Marriage, group of rituals. మంత్రాలు ఉంటాయి, మంత్రాలు చూడలేం కదా. What do you see in marriage? What are the elements? Tell me few elements. Yes, తాళి, కొబ్బరికాయ కొడతాం, కొబ్బరికాయ, కుంకుమ. These are all. What non-material aspects ఏంటి? మంత్రాలు. కనిపించదు కదా. Right. And any more? Characteristics of culture. It is learned. Is culture same across different societies? Culture is diverse. Right. Next. Okay. Take down notes. Characteristics of culture. This question was asked this year, 2024, for 10 marks. Characteristics of culture. As per E.B. Tyler, culture is a system of elements. Culture is a system of elements. Culture is a system of elements that are integrated with each other. That are integrated with each other. As per Herskowitz, culture is unique to humans. Culture is unique to humans.
First system of elements అంటే customs, tradition అవన్నీ integrate అయ్యి.
Yeah. Next point. Culture is unique to humans. Culture is learnt and not biologically transmitted. Culture is learned and not biologically transmitted, according to Kroeber and Kluckhorn. According to Kroeber and Kluckhorn. Culture is learned and not biologically transmitted, according to Kroeber and Kluckhorn. Culture is social. Culture is social and it is shared by group of people. Culture is social and it is shared by group of people. Culture is adaptive Culture is adaptive to changing dynamics of environment. Culture is adaptive to changing dynamics of environment. At the same time, it ensures stability. At the same time, it ensures stability. Culture is integrative. Culture is integrative as it teaches mutual adjustment. Culture is integrative as it teaches mutual adjustment. Culture is gratifying. As it fulfills the biological and secondary needs. Culture is ideational. That comprises shared notions, norms, ideals.